The average human will meet 80,000 people in their life. Most of those people will pass by like the wind. They'll be quickly forgotten. Then there are the people that change our lives in irreversible ways. It's hard to know who's who in this world. It's hard to know what moments will matter and which ones will just blow right by. But sometimes you know. In February of this year, I spent a week in Greece reporting on the refugee crisis. I expected that to be the end of my experience there. I thought I would go, tell a few stories, and then come home. But when I got back to Denver, where I live, I couldn't stop thinking about the place, the camps, and the people that I had met there. Specifically, I couldn't stop thinking about this one community, a camp called Inofita. I spent a lot of time at that camp on the first trip. I attended their community meeting, I slept at the volunteer housing, and I shadowed the camp manager, a woman named Lisa Campbell, for about 2 days. One morning over coffee, she told me about her grand plan to set up an outsourcing center in the camp where refugees could work remotely in the donated computer lab. Now, previous to my writing career, I had a company that did just that. We had a team of about 25 people in India, and we outsourced work for about 100 companies. And so I guess when I reflect on the reason that this conversation had such an impact on me is that for so much of my life, I've looked at all these big problems in the world, the wars, the famines, poverty, and I've just thought, this isn't my problem to solve. I'm not capable of this. I don't have any skills that I can contribute. And in this instance, that was the opposite. I actually did have the skills to try to help these people. And so I went back to Greece. My original plan was to spend 2 days filming and then 3 days teaching people how to get jobs on outsourcing platforms. But after that week, no one had gotten work. And so when it came time to get on my flight, I didn't get on. I decided to stay there until 5 people had gotten work. And so I dropped everything in my life. I rented a small guest house in the village nearby the camp, and I decided to commit to helping these people in Inofita. I ended up spending the entire summer in Greece. What started as a 3-day volunteer project morphed into this full-fledged organization and vocational school. I got tear gassed in Athens. I heard government officials in Jordan say things like, "We're trying to cultivate an adaptive citizenry," and it was the absolute opposite of what I anticipated for the summer. It was the exact opposite of what I really wanted. But it was something so different in my life. Each time I decided to plunge further and further into this project, I hesitated though. Something about it didn't feel right. Finally, one night when I was talking to one of the young Syrian refugees that I was working with, he was telling me about some of his dreams, some of his aspirations, and I was encouraging him to start this business that he was telling me about. He had all the skills and he was ready to do it. He just needed that push. And then he suddenly flipped the question on me and he asked me, "What do you want to be doing?" And I stuttered around and mumbled for a few seconds, and then I told him I want to be making films. And I felt like such a hypocrite then, because here I was telling this person to go and follow their dreams, to do what they want, and I wasn't doing it for myself. And so after weeks of deliberating and going back and forth, I decided to leave Greece and come back home. I go back and forth on whether or not it was the right decision to go to Greece in the first place, or whether or not it was the right decision to leave. But there are these 2 quotes or pieces of writing that I keep coming back to that do make me feel good about both decisions. The first one is from one of my favorite filmmakers, J.J. Abrams, who said, "It's more important that you learn what to make movies about than that you learn how to make them." And the second was a Rumi poem that one of the refugees that I worked with shared with me. It goes, "Try and be a sheet of paper with nothing on it. Be a spot of ground where nothing is growing, where something might be planted."